The internet is erupting over stocks. For years and years and years, people have been trying to beat the stock market, some with
great success
and others with great failure. No one really knows what's happening, but there are moments such as this where a Reddit user turned thousands of dollars into tens of millions of dollars. So I decided it would be a great idea for us to test if that is possible. I asked some of my brilliant stock market friends which stocks they thought were the absolute best in the market. I decided to put the stocks into two different categories. We have our growth stocks and we have our blue chips. The growth stocks we consider to be valued anywhere under $5 billion or less, which leaves them a ton of room for growth to get to where, companies like Google or Apple or Microsoft are at. And we took these stocks and put them against the giants, the blue chip stocks, and these are the behemoths of the stock market that you are all familiar with, some of which are valued higher than $1 trillion. Which at the end of the day feels a little bit unfair, like I'm putting an NBA all-star team up against a little league team. Make sure to stay tuned to the end of the video because not only am I going to tell you which group of stocks happen to win, but in addition, I'm also going to take that 1 month's results and I'm going to stretch it out for 1, 5, 10, and even 25 years time. And that will allow us to see exactly how much money you would have if you followed this exact strategy. So like I mentioned before, we had our genius community pick the 10 stocks that are going to go into each portfolio, and the stocks that the community picked for the all-star or the blue chip team is over here, and the opposition stocks are going to be on this side here. And the plan is to put $100 into each portfolio once per week for a grand total of $400 invested into each portfolio over the course of a month. So now that you know the game plan, the only thing left to do is wait a whole month. With the help of a little bit of editing magic, I'm gonna put my hand on the screen and 1 month will go by and I can tell you guys the results of what happened.
Later.
All right, before we get into the results, I gotta say, I was pretty shocked seeing what ended up happening. Please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing, but means a lot to me. Now that you've done that, I can go ahead and tell you exactly how much money we might have made or lost during this whole process. So let's talk about the blue chips first. And in my opinion, for 1 whole month, these stocks did super, super well. But how well? A little over 10%. In fact, they did a whole whopping 12% in just 1 month's time. 12% of $400 is $48. So we had a grand total of $448. And for those of you who don't know, the average returns for the S&P 500 was actually roughly around 9%. So when you consider that, 12% in 1 month's time is absolutely ridiculous. Now, for the underdogs, which is kind of what I and a lot of you might have been cheering for, they did great, absolutely amazing if this was a golf game. Because in fact, they didn't do so well at all. In total, they brought around 3% in total gains. At the end of the day, it's something, and something is always better than nothing. And obviously, this didn't turn into $1 million overnight, but a big question you might be asking is,
Why did the growth stocks not do so well?
I mean, they're growth stocks after all, right? Well, a big factor in this experiment is that the experiment only lasted 1 whole month, and it didn't allow for the stocks to flourish. A lot of times, these growth stocks need years and years and years to fully develop into the giant corporations that we have today. And you have to remember that stocks are not short-term investments. I mean, when you gamble, like investing in GameStop or in AMC, you might have exceptional short-term results. But when it comes to investing instead of gambling, then you have to typically wait a little bit longer. But there is obviously the decreased of risk. But since this experiment was pretty short-lived, I thought it'd be fun to jump on the computer and show you guys exactly what we would have made if this experiment lasted a lot longer. So let's go ahead and jump on the computer and check it out. All right, first I want to use the S&P 500 average returns as the example of exactly what we could make if we just invested in the S&P rather than investing in particular growth stocks or blue chips as well. So over the last 90 years, the average returns of the S&P 500 were around 9%. So that's what you see here, the CAGR 9%. And after 1 month, we have $403. Now, if you see down here, 1 year's no additions, 5 years no additions, that means we're not adding any money as this progresses, meaning the original $400 is working for us. At the end of 25 years, we have a grand total of $3,763. So when you think about it, every $400 that you spend today is worth around $3,700 in the future. Now, if you wanted to add an extra $100 per week, and you took that over the 1, the 5, the 10, the 25-year periods, you would be left with $452,000 by the end of the 25 years. Now, let me go ahead and remove these black boxes here, starting with the one over here, which is the growth stocks box. And we're gonna start with the same amount, $400, and the ending amount is $412. That is what we made for the month. And if we look down here, the CMGR is 3%, and the CAGR, if this were to continue, is around 36%. Now, take this with a grain of salt because you would have to be one of the best stock pickers in the world to get those kind of results year after year after year. But that doesn't mean it's not fun to look at the numbers. So 1 year of no additions is around $570. Now, that isn't much different from the previous example here. In fact, it's only $140 more. When you look at the 5 year, that is where you're already leaping into almost 20 years of the S&P 500 average returns. 10 years, no addition, you're looking at $13,000. And 25, you're looking at $2 million, almost 2.8 to be exact. And obviously, if you added to this, the results would get absolutely insane. And you can already see where I'm going with this. 1 year plus $100 a week is $6,000. Next one is $67,000 at 5 years. 10 years in, you have $460,000, which is what we had 25 years in the S&P 500. You can get that in 10 years if you can just, somehow pull off 36% gains per year. And when you look at the 25 years here, you're looking at $97 million, almost $100 million to your name. Now, the blue chips is where things get exciting. And this is obviously exciting on its own already. But again, remember that 36% is pretty much unattainable unless you were one of the best stock pickers in the world. But when you get down to the blue chips, this is where it's literally unattainable, especially with how consistent you would have to be in order to see these kind of numbers. So the starting amount is the same, and this is what we had after the 1 month. So that brings our CMGR to 12%. That's what we mentioned before. And that puts our CAGR, which is the annual growth rate, at 144%. Again, absolutely ridiculous. I mean, sure, you might be able to do this 1 year. Maybe you might even be able to do it 2 years in a row. But a lot of this has to do with luck. There's no way for you to know that something's going to grow 144% and then just put all your eggs in that one basket, and that one basket grows continuously into the future, just the same that it did before. And you can take a look at the additions here. I'm not going to go super deep into it, but absolutely insane, especially when we're talking about the 25 years with an additional $100 a week investment. That number is absolutely ridiculous and obviously is completely unattainable, but for the purpose of the video is fun to look at. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to smash the like button. Also, don't forget to comment something down in the description below, especially if there's a particular video you'd like to see from me in the future. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.